The second version of the suppressed premise: we should not be epistemic chauvinists. The world as we know it is contingent. We can imagine, given time and brain power, what the universe would have been like had things been just a little different after the Big Bang. To a certain extent, we play mental games like this all the time. When it comes to talk about the possible existence of extraterrestrial life, we often like to make claims as to how life would have been, if at all, and how it would have evolved had our solar system had developed in a slightly different fashion. In another way, we can also claim that the world as we know it is contingent, because the very laws of nature themselves could have been different. We could, once again, work out what the world would look like and how it would act had the laws of nature been other than that which they are. This is a massive task, admittedly, but the point is that it is a quite conceivable one. Our world is contingent because the laws of nature do not have to have been the way that they are. Try, though, to imagine a world where pi equals 4. Whilst we can conceive of a change in the laws of nature, the conceptual change in pi seems, well, inconceivable. This is because we believe that the axioms that make up mathematics are inviolate. Whilst we can imagine tinkering with the laws of nature, we cannot conceive of tinkering with the axioms of math or, indeed, logic. We, and by we I should probably say most philosophers, say that the axioms of logic are necessarily true. They are not subject to revision, and they could not be expressed in any other way. We can also say that the axioms of logic are prescriptive. They dictate the range of actions and interactions that we can make within the world. The laws of nature, on the other hand, might well be prescriptive, or they might well be merely descriptive. We can take this in two different ways. We can imagine the laws of nature, as expressed by the natural sciences, upon which most of us, myself included, form and base our systemic accounts of knowledge about the world, are a right and accurate representation of the processes occurring in nature, and that any contingency we ascribe to these laws of nature is simply the recognition that the world could have existed in a different state of affairs. Strong adherents of this view may then want to say that the laws of nature should also be considered to be prescriptive. They describe the world as we see it, and this description is the same as the actual processes that govern the world behind the scenes. This would be a kind of ontological reductionism, the notion that reductionism tells us something about how the world really works, rather than giving us a description of best fit. What is the point of this? Well, I think that one plausible interpretation of Dyson's argument is the claim that we can cast some doubt on the value of ontological reductionism. Whilst we often like to talk about what we think exists, it is another thing entirely to posit that these things actually do exist. Here we can highlight the difference between ontology, the study of what exists, and epistemology, the study of what we can be reasonably expected to believe in. One way to talk about scientific knowledge is to talk about what it is reasonable to believe given the scientific method. Dyson, we must remember, is historically literate in regards to the natural sciences. He likes to tell stories about how people used to believe one thing until such time that experiments et al. Were performed and people realized it was more rational to believe some other thing. Dyson might well approve of epistemological reductionism, positing rational beliefs about how we think the world might work, but that does not mean that we should make the move to being ontological reductionists, positing that the system of knowledge epistemological reductionism recommends is in fact the real deal. Epistemological reductionism is a fine thing. It probably is quite preferable to work with belief systems that are simple and powerful, although there will probably need to be caveats to try and stop Deus ex machina beliefs from abounding. Ontological reductionism, the theory that simpler systems are the truth of the matter, is, however, highly contentious. This contentious move, however, is an increasingly common one made in some skeptical arguments against the paranormal, with the claim that if a given system of knowledge such as the natural sciences, does not make reference to entities of such postulated theories, such as those found in sophisticated accounts of the paranormal, then such paranormal phenomena cannot have or be occurring. Recall the contrast theories. Epistemological reductionism works because simpler, more powerful beliefs are of more use to us, because they are generally easier to use. If a belief is simple, yet yields the same results as a more complex cousin, then the simpler option does seem preferable. We should prefer such simple but complex belief structures that describe known phenomena, and I think we will find that the scientific endeavour provides for such systems. To make the move from epistemological reductionism to ontological reductionism, however, advocates a move that says that such beliefs are literally true of how the world works behind the scenes. And this, I think, is a claim that we can pour doubt upon. Indeed, supporting such a claim simply ignores how the natural sciences actually work. You cannot be literate about the history of sciences, I would argue, if you have a naive belief in ontological reductionism. Our explanations in the natural sciences might well only be explanations of best fit, and may not appeal to the actual processes that go on behind the scenes. Indeed, it is plausible to claim that there might be some phenomena in the complete systemic account of how the world really works that we have no epistemic access to, and maybe only an omniscient being might ever be able to construct the real theory as to how the world really works. If this is true, and it seems at least plausible, then our theories might well just be best fit explanations, appealing to what we can know rather than what really is. Many paranormal theories make the claim that there are forces that we have little to no experience of acting upon objects in the world. This version of Dyson's suppressed premise does not try to make all such claims suddenly plausible. Often these strange forces are going to be explicable in regard to well-known but often misunderstood laws of nature. However, it does show that it is plausible for us to claim that there are some forces that we might not have knowledge of that might well explain some phenomena considered paranormal.